barely makes a significant difference anyway.
Okay, so to those points, I cannot speak for other feminists, but I will speak for myself. Nobody is forcing women to go to college under feminism. Like, yeah, sure, we are encouraging women, and part of the feminist movement was to fight for the right, or I guess fight isn't right, but to advocate for the right of equal education opportunity. But the difference is that it's not involuntary.
Yeah.
It's voluntary. Like a woman today
So was
could
indentured servitude, and you agreed it's slavery.
Yes, but a woman today could still choose not to be a student and go
They
to
could choose
school
then not
and
to be indentured
engage in
servants.
higher education.
They could agree then not to be indentured servants. It's the same principle applied.
No, it's not the same principle because what were they
principle.
leaving? Like if you're leaving a potato famine, you don't really have an option. Either you're dying or you're now in a
You still have
servant.
options, and it's your choice. And the same reason that many women will incur a massive amount of college debt is because they're trying.
You're conflating two things
They're
that are
trying
not
to
at all
leave
similar.
terrible economic conditions. That's why they do it.
Yeah, of course. That's
So
why
I would
they do
argue
it.
that the burden of
feminism
these
is not
massive student loan
forcing.
programs, which are designed specifically to incentivize women to incur huge amounts of debt, which they do, has actually been more of a form of economic slavery than anything that they had pre-feminism under coverture laws, where they were not allowed to incur debt. They did not have debt, which
By the
they
way,
could incur.
under curvature laws, women were also not allowed to keep their earnings. All of the money that they made from doing literally anything had to go to their husbands.
That
But
is not true,
it is.
especially with inheritances.
But going back to this belief that
Mm-hmm.
incurring debt through a university that you voluntarily choose to go to is somehow slavery, then wouldn't anyone who takes out a loan be a slave regardless of whether or not they're a man or a woman?
I think usury is real bad.
So
And
you
the
believe that
idea-
every single person who is going to college voluntarily and voluntarily taking student debt is now a slave to that university?
They are.
Okay, so either you don't understand slavery or you don't understand
Then,
the higher education
then
system.
tell me what the distinction is between that and indentured servitude, which have the exact same qualifiers.
Well, the difference is, first of all, we're in a much different society
That's
in which
not
higher
an argument.
education is not
Give me the
required.
argument of the principle. The principle of indentured servitude, which is voluntarily taking out a huge sum of money and then paying it back through work, right? And you have to pay that money back, or else there's serious fucking penalties for that, just like there is for student loans. In principle, what is the distinction here? They're both voluntary.
The
Both.
principle is that under an indentured servitude, you're working for 7 years and your owner.
You're working for a lot longer than
You
that
are
often with
owned,
student
though.
debts.
It's the concept of ownership. You are not owned by a
You weren't.
company.
No.
by
It
a
wasn't
college.
chattel slavery. You weren't owned the same way. No. But you were responsible to pay that debt off via the agreement of the contract, just like you are with one of these huge student loans for useless debt.
Look, I
and
think
hang on,
student
it's
loans
not
fucking
just that
suck,
debt.
but it's not slavery.
It's not
Andrew.
just
you
that
gotta
debt.
be so for real, man. It's not slavery.
Then you shouldn't have agreed that indentured servitude is slavery because it meets the same qualifiers.
It does not meet the same.
What's the
qualifiers.
distinction?
Because the owner of the indentured servant, and I'm going to use owner in this scenario.
They're not owned the
Is-
same way as you owned chattel slavery.
Yes, but during indentured servitude, they would often push the goalposts and be like, "Oh, you owe me more and more and more money."
They do it same way with compound interest rates from student loans.
But we understand the interest rate. It's up front.
They understood the interest rate because it was up front. That's
No,
why they
they
signed
didn't.
contracts. Yes, they had to adhere to the contracts the
Dude,
same
no,
way.
they didn't. Half of them weren't even literate.
Yes,
like, that's completely
they
different.
did. And just because people are doing things which are illegal, it was within the confines of the law. They had to adhere to the contract. These were supposed to be free white men. That's different than chattel slavery. That's why they had certain things afforded to them that were not afforded to chattel slaves. And my argument is...
So then I guess you defeated your own purpose.
Yeah, you've made...
So you've argued against indentured servitude being slavery and
No,
college
I'm
debt being
arguing
slavery.
like you are that it was slavery.
You're conflating
and I'm
two
saying
things
that
that are
this is the
completely
same
different.
thing. It's a form of economic slavery along with the propaganda, which is trying to push women for useless degrees especially, and giving them loans which they didn't get penalties on. And they do get penalties.
So what is your solution, Andrew?
To what?
To eliminating the slavery of
It doesn't
college
need to have a solution.
Well,
We
it
just
does.
need to agree that this is a form of economic slavery. That's it.
I don't believe it's a form of economic slavery because it's a choice.
Then neither was indentured servitude.
Okay, sure.
So indentured servants weren't slaves?
Fine.
Okay. I'm willing to, as long as you bite that bullet.
Next prompt?
Yeah,
I
next
mean,
prompt.
I guess that's why they called them indentured servants and not indentured slaves.
All right.
So you don't wait. So
Go
but
ahead. We're going to
Andrew-
the next. I'm
so
done.
wait, no,
I'm
no,
done.
no, no. Go back.
Yeah,
so then
yeah.
are you?
We'll go to the next
wait,
one.
No, Andrew.
Let her-
hold
let
on,
her ask.
Brian.
All right,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Pause.
I got it.
So
Let
then,
her-
Andrew,
let her
if
ask the
I'm
question.
conceding that indentured servitude isn't slavery, then are you conceding that feminism isn't enslaving
No,
women?
I'm still literally gonna stick by the definition that
Okay, well,
almost
I think
all
your
sources
definition
would
of slavery
consider
is-
indentured servitude a form of slavery due to the crushing debt
No.
and the lack of choice that brought. I'm gonna argue that the same thing is the case through all forms of crushing debt, which are brought by corporate or state bodies against peoples, forms of slavery that women did not have to deal with before feminism, that feminism introduced. Therefore, I think they're less free now than they ever were because of the word
First
debt.
of all, I don't think you can blame feminism for this.
They're the ones who advocated for
but
it.
We're not forcing women to go to college. We're giving them the option
Okay.
of going to college. And
It doesn't matter
people
what
can
you
go
call
to
it.
college who can, like, what if a woman could just afford to go to college and she wants to go?
Until you can tell me the distinct criterion difference between the crushing debt of indentured servitude and the crushing debt of college loans, which are often targeted at minorities and people have very little in the way of means to pay these loans back, and they give them to them based on useless degrees,
I agree.
often, right?
I'm not
I
arguing
don't
any of these
understand
points.
how you could say that not only you would have to admit that not only is that's a bad thing, but how's that not a form of economic slavery?
Andrew, I'm not arguing any of these points. I'm arguing that this isn't the responsibility of feminism. Feminism created an option, but the concept of college debt was not made by feminism.
Who pushed for it?
Who pushed for
Who
college
pushed for
debt?
women to go to college and have it financed by the government?
No. Who pushed for who created college debt? Was it feminist? No.
Yes, feminists
So
pushed for
feminists-
women to
No.
go to college
But
and
that's-
take out student
so do you
loans.
not understand the
This is the
question?
third wave
Do you
feminist,
want me
by
to
the way.
understand the question?
Hold on, one at a
Do you want me to
time, please.
reiterate
Oh
the
my
question?
God, go ahead.
Who created college debt?
Created it?
Yes.
Financial institutions
Okay,
who
so
work
then
alongside
financial
the government.
institutions are the slavers,
No.
not feminists.
No, because it's feminists who. What's the prompt? That feminism did more to enslave women than to free them, right? Or to keep them, or give them more rights, or give them more freedoms in society. That's what we're talking about.
But you
and
can't
here's the
blame
truth.
feminists for the
Feminists,
creation
I
of
can
college
and I
debt.
am.
No, you can't.
Feminists did.
Well, it's stupid.
Well, let me make the argument and then respond to it.
Sure.
Feminists did absolutely push for women in higher education. They pushed to have it financed by the state. And they, by the way, modern feminists still push it. Modern feminists right this second are still pushing that women go to college and take on college debt, if necessary, to get a degree. That's what they push more than anything, in fact.
What we were pushing is the right to go to college. The right. Do you understand that? Before feminism, women were not allowed to pursue
Yeah, I know.
a
You're
degree in
pushing
higher
for the right to
education.
indentured servitude.
We're not okay, but we didn't create. Feminism didn't create the quote unquote indentured servitude.
They did.
Of the no, we didn't.
You did.
Who created college debt?
If there
Andrew?
wasn't this massive,
This is the most circular ass
if there
argument I've
wasn't
ever heard.
incentive, right, for these companies to create these diploma mills, because, and the only reason they're creating these diploma mills is because the student loan programs, which are coming out of the federal government.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's going on. I'm sure you
Yeah.
have student loans, and it sucks. Like, I'm sorry. That sucks. It does suck.
You know,
and
Andrew,
I'm
the
sorry.
saddest part is I agree with
And
you
I'm
on
sorry
most
that
of
you're being
this.
crushed under that weight, but I'm telling you right now that that was not done by the malicious patriarchy. This is feminists, and feminists even currently, who really pushed hard that all women need to go to college. They all need to go. They all need to go. And all these student loans and the crushing debt now, and women are responsible for so much of that debt. I would argue that that is way worse, that these women now have to go work these menial fucking jobs and shit like this to pay back their student loans to the fucking federal government. It's so bad now
I know. I
that now you
literally
have a new wave of feminists trying to come out and just ask for free everything. They're like, oh, just please, student debt forgiveness.
May I
They
talk?
crushed.
May I
Go
talk?
ahead.
I mean, Andrew, I completely agree with you. I mean, I'm literally having this conversation with you right now to pay
Yeah.
off my student debt. But my issue is that I don't think, like, all of these problems are real, but I don't think the blame and the onus is on feminists. I think the blame and the onus is on a capitalist system that is designed to fuck all of us. It's not even just women, it's men too. Like, men
Loans
also.
from the federal government isn't capitalism.
I mean, men are also. Oh.
No.
So you don't think
Loans
that
are supposed to
you
come
don't
from
think
private
that the
equity
private
firms.
college fund
I don't
and
think
the
that.
push,
I don't think that private equity firms.
you don't think that these
No, private
diploma
equity.
mills
The diploma. Listen.
based on capitalism?
The private equity firms, right, would not be financing people who are going to school for fucking basket weaving, okay? Because their chance of getting paid back would be way less. It's because these loans are backed by the federal government that they're even possible, because equity firms would laugh at them. So the thing is like, look, as we look at this from the like bird's eye view, right? You and I agree that that system is fucked, okay?
Yes, I do.
And yes, absolutely, feminists push for that system in a big way. And my argument essentially is simple. It's just saying, and you know what? You could even caveat it. You could be like, you know what? Feminists did a lot of great things. This one wasn't it. And if you, as long as you're willing to make the concession, like, look, that sort of financial slavery is way worse than what they had pre-19th Amendment, because it is, then I think we have an accord and we can move to the next prompt.
Can I do a closing statement?
Yeah.
And if you feel like we're done, then I'm good to be done with this one. I think the main point that I will make is that feminism was not about forcing women to go to college, but before feminism, women physically could not go to college. It was about creating equal opportunity, because although colleges are fucked with the way that they absolutely steal from students by proliferating college debt,
Do you consider that a form of financial slavery?
Yes, but some degrees are actually worthwhile.
Look.
And women should have the right to pursue those degrees as well.
I just want to point out that
It's the inequality that feminists are fighting against. But in no universe are we trying to force every single woman to go to college, even if they don't want to and it doesn't make financial sense for them. No one is advocating for that. I am an avowed feminist, and I would never say that to another woman.
So anyway, these were the same arguments that were being used for the pushing of indentured slavery, since indentured servitude, same exact thing. Nobody's forcing you to do it. We're just making sure that people have the ability to do it because they don't have enough money to get here. Hang on.
Yeah.
I didn't interrupt your closing.
That's fair.
Okay. The indentured servants, they want to come here. They just can't afford it. Okay, so we can charge them whatever they want. And doesn't that really just make their life better because we're giving them the option to do it? These are the same exact arguments that were made for that. Same exact thing. And so the thing is like, look, fine. That's great that you like want this option, right? But that doesn't change the fact that feminism created the conditionals for this. Not the patriarchy and not coverture laws. Feminism, hang on, created the conditionals for this. And since they did and they advocated for it, they pushed everyone into it, they made a bunch of economic slaves out of otherwise viable women in their fertile years who could have gotten married.
I mean, can I just respond to that? The thing, though, is that it wasn't that women weren't allowed to be indentured servants and then only men could be indentured servants and then feminists pushed for women to be indentured servants. Like, the issue is that men could go to college, but women couldn't. We didn't have the option. We were fighting for the option.
Most men only got the option to start going to college en masse, right? Only slightly before women did. That's one. And two, let me just point this out, that if college was really about rewarding the best and the brightest, not everybody could go. And the entirety of the push for this should always have been for that anyway. And what happened is feminists made a bunch of economic slaves out of women that they really didn't need to make out of women. And they still, by the way, on every mainstream network, this is what you'll see female feminists in modernity saying. Go to college, go to college, go to school, because a lot of them are paid fucking shills, in fact. Okay? So yeah, feminism did bring the conditionals for this. They did make economic slaves. And here's the thing, as long as you agree, and here's maybe the olive branch that we can get. Fine, you don't want to call it slavery, economic slavery, don't call it economic slavery. I think that in any other conditional, though, as an avowed socialist like you would use that exact language, economic slavery. You just don't want to blame it on feminism. You want to blame it on capitalism.
No,
but it's like, even if I say
I agree with you that the system is
but even
fucked,
if I
but
make,
I don't believe
can
that
we have an olive
feminists
branch?
are the ones who
Can we have an olive
perpetuated
branch
this
then that forms of bad capitalism mixed with bad feminist ideology created the conditionals for this? Maybe that's the olive branch.
I think it's forms of bad capitalism that created the conditionals for this that everyone experiences. And I also feel like you're kind of downplaying what men have to deal with as well. I mean, men are in this same freaking boat.
No,
like, no?
Well, not really. Men are moving towards the trades. They understand that there's a massive scammery going on with college. They're moving into trades, and they don't have to spend as much. In fact, they get paid. Most of the time when you're training, training for a trade, you get paid a high amount of money. Most trade schools that you go to, maybe you go for 6-8 weeks, and then you're assigned as an apprentice, or sometimes you just start as an apprentice and you work for 4 years, and you're getting paid the entire time.
Yeah.
That seems like the opposite of economic slavery. This seems like it is, and I think that feminists created the conditionals, and I'll leave it there.
But feminists also gave women access to go to trade school as well. Like all forms of higher education, feminists fought for the right to women to attend to. And then we can choose among those.
It was higher education. Women weren't fighting to get into trade schools.
You don't think trade school's a form of higher education? Hey, man, don't
They
knock
weren't
trade school.
fighting to go weld, okay?
It's the equality of opportunity.
They
Andrew.
weren't fighting to go weld.
Do you understand what the equality of opportunity is?
Oh, give me a break.
It's
that
the
wasn't what it was about.
opportunity.
It was about a bunch of industrialists hornswoggling you into becoming second-class citizens because you became economic cogs.
Okay, I'll just close this out. I think we can agree that the college education system needs some severe reformation. And I think that we can agree that it's fucking a lot of Americans, both men and women. Where I disagree is that I don't think that feminism is the cause of this, I guess, universal fuckage. Instead, it literally created the ability for women to choose this. And it's not forcing it on women. If they are going to go into too much debt and it's not economically feasible to go to college, as a feminist, I'm telling you right now, don't do it. If it's not worth it, then don't.
Yeah, that's great, but that's like counterintuitive to what your whole movement said for the last, 60 years.
I don't think you understand my movement, Andrew.
I think I'm the only one at the table who does.
I would disagree.
We have 3 prompt options. Problems with democracy, women just as violent as men, if not more, and force doctrine, the descriptor for Earth.
Yeah, do you want to do force doctrine? Because we never got to that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We didn't. Honestly, I kind of wanted to do problems with democracy.
Yeah, we
I
can
thought
do that too.
was-
Problems with democracy, fine.
Yeah, you want to start with problems with democracy and then move on to, what was the other one? I like women are more violent too. Do you have a preference?
Let's do problems with democracy.
Okay,
And then
cool.
force doctrine, and then time permitting.
Well, I don't think we're going to have time after this one.
Force
but we'll
doctrine is
see.
going to be really long, is what I'm saying, is what I'm thinking.
Well, then let's do force doctrine so we can get out of the way.
Let's do force doctrine then.
Let's do force
Alrighty.
doctrine.
So Andrew, it's your claim if you want to.
Yeah, so force doctrine is a descriptor which just describes that women gain their rights from men. That's the descriptor.
Okay, so why do women gain their right? Do you want to define force doctrine and why
I just
you believe
did.
this is? No, you didn't.
What am I leaving out of my own definition?
Well, why do women, because?
Why do they have
There's
to
no
appeal to them?
justification. Yes, women gain their rights
Because
from
men
men
have a monopoly on
because-
force. And since they have a monopoly on force, women always have to appeal to them. Example, if women right this second who were in some Middle Eastern nation, right, wanted their rights from the men and the men did not want to give them any rights, can you demonstrate for me a single shred of recourse that they could have except appealing to other men or the men that are not giving them rights?
I mean, well, they could invent a bomb that would just like destroy everyone.
Can you give me a single historic example of women ever successfully using physical force to overthrow when they're considered second-class citizens by the men?
No, but I
Yeah.
honestly believe physical force is immoral. I guess my issue with force doctrine is like, so what? What is your point? Like, sure, that's your definition, but
Well,
why is this?
My point
important?
is that it's very clear again that men are very benevolent, because
That's it?
Because
So you just want a pat on the back?
no, I would like to see gratitude in the world for men, because it is indeed the case that they have the monopoly on force, and at any time, according to their own preferences, could just enslave all women. And it's really funny because it's like,
So wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Pause,
imagine
pause.
saying like,
You think that women should thank you for deciding not to enslave us?
I mean, the idea here is simple. The idea is that if it is the case that you have people who are drastically weaker, one people group than another people group, okay? And they can do anything they want to you whenever they want, and half the world demonstrates that that's the case. At least in this half of the world, we don't do that. And because we don't do that, women take for granted that the men here are so benevolent that they could take what they wanted, and they don't. And it's like, yeah, it's not just about a pat on the back. It's about actually thanking them for every breath of every day.